Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
Hello, I'm Jake Carter with Felix and Fingers. I'm here with Ashley Ulery of A Dream Wedding Maui, and she has decades of planning experience with an eye for detail and a reputation for going above and beyond, which makes sense for Maui. Of course you do. I can tell just from talking to you briefly that you just go all the way out on everything. Um, Hundreds of couples have trusted Ashley to make their dream wedding a reality. And as the owner and lead planner behind the business, you can count on her to spearhead all aspects of the planning process to create an effortless and elevated wedding experience. True love stories that you are creating in Maui. I love it. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I'm so excited to meet you and have you here. Thank you.
Likewise, Jake. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I have some questions that I'm going to ask you about weddings and events and all the things that you've seen, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Are you ready to
Yeah,
go?
I'm
Awesome.
ready. I can talk about
Cool.
weddings all day long. So,
I think we all can. Um, so what current trends are you seeing in the wedding and event industry?
we were actually just talking about this. I feel like everything is shifting more towards experience, even like above aesthetics. So I'm seeing when couples are managing their budgets, they're really focusing on guest experience, things to do, activities, way more than the big elaborate florals. Um, I think that Maui is unique in that it is so picturesque and beautiful. Not a whole lot is needed, to elevate the aesthetics. It's not like we're in ballrooms, trying to reimagine them.
Yeah.
um, we're so lucky that the venues are so beautiful. What else am I seeing? Smaller ceremonies. So I have a lot of couples doing like a private ceremony with just immediate family, and then yeah, inviting the rest of their guests for the reception. Um, what else? Different colors of bridesmaids dresses is trending right now, which I personally love. I'm a big fan of letting your bridesmaids pick their own dresses so they'll actually wear them again. For the guys, we're
Nice.
seeing green suits all of a sudden. Yeah, so
What?
like tan and blue for a long time, but now I had a wedding last night and the guys wore green suits. It looked great.
Like what kind of green? Are we talking like a dark green?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Dark,
Huh.
like a hunter, almost forest green.
Okay. Wow, that's fun. That's different. I like that.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any like favorite things that are popping up recently that you're just like, this is super cool out of
Um,
those things?
well, I mean, I the experience trend, I'm all about. Like we've been doing lei-making stations at weddings, which is so fun. We started doing them just for the kids, but found out like the adults just love to get involved. And next thing you know, everybody's wearing like fresh flowers around their head and around their necks.
Oh,
That's really fun. There's a company here on Maui called Catered Coconut, and they machete fresh coconuts during cocktail hour. Um,
awesome.
I love, and
Very
I
fun.
mean, as far as like aesthetics and design, I love that part, but I'm all about just having the event reflect the personalities of the couple. So I
Yeah.
don't particularly want people to see my portfolio and be like, oh yeah, Ashley has that in common with all of the weddings. I really like to get to know the couples, and I really encourage them to, bring out the details of their love story and their personalities in the wedding.
Nice. Yeah, that's super cool. Some of those are fun. I think that like the lei making and the coconut thing, like it's very much important. Like you said, like you're like, oh, we do this normally for kids, and then we found out the adults like it. And it's like, yes, be an adult, but play, have fun, enjoy
Exactly.
life. You can have fun too. It's okay, you know?
Yard games. I mean, we're seeing tons
Yeah,
more yard games, and yeah, I think just embracing that childlike joy
that's
is.
awesome. That's great. Okay, so to take this kind of to the opposite end of things, what are some things that you think people should never do? What is the most cringeworthy moments or like things or stories that you've seen at your events? Tell all. You don't have to say names, but I want to know all of the details.
Oh gosh. Um, well, hopefully I've been guiding them along so we can kind of avoid some of those things. I mean, it's so cliche, but not drinking or eating the day of the wedding is like such a no. Like, make sure. I always have wedding parties. Like, please make sure everybody's eating and drinking water, staying hydrated. Not wearing sunscreen. So people get to Maui and they go to the beach and they don't wear the sunscreen, and then we've got sunburn lines on dresses. To
Oh
me,
my God.
that's a big no. Guests wearing white to weddings. Please don't do that.
That's a classic one. I mean,
Yeah, but
and
I mean, I've seen it recently enough to feel like it bears repeating.
bringing up, wow. They're just like, well, it's an island. It makes sense. It's okay.
Yeah, and the other thing, which I'm going to be a little controversial here, so forgive
I'm
me, but
excited. Yes.
um, I feel like Hawaii is such a unique space for weddings. I'm generalizing here, so not to offend everybody Hawaii vendor, but it's the vendors here know the lighting, they know the weather patterns, they know the venues, and we are kind of seeing this trend of like, oh, I'm going to bring in a vendor from the mainland. Every once in a while, it's fantastic, but more times than not, it doesn't go as well as it could have using someone who knows the island
Yeah.
and the venues.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was talking to, you said just before we started this that you were at Sugar Beach last night.
It was.
And I was talking to Lee a couple weeks ago, and she was just talking about the exact same thing where she was saying it's hard for them to allow vendors that are not on island to come in and do things because when they say, oh yeah, sure, your photographer that lives in like Oklahoma can come take pictures in Hawaii. And I'm a photographer as well, and I understand like that would be a really challenging thing to do in Hawaii because like the weather and the sunset and the location and the venue, like it's really hard to just walk in and be like, yeah, this will work. Here's the spot that we need to go. And then when it rains or something changes, what do you do? Like you're not
Exactly.
familiar with it and it makes it hard. You're not ready for all those plan B moments that people that live here are like, oh yeah, here we go.
And
You
like,
know?
and we really have, so for me, it's like all about the golden hour sunset photos. So it's like
Yeah.
once the sun goes down, your lighting is gone. And the
Yeah.
other thing is so much, it's a very small wedding community here. And we all
Hmm.
work together so well. I just, I have clients who say it's really important to me that my vendors really work together as a team.
Yeah.
So we're so used to work. It's like a side glance. It's like, oh, the DJ
Yeah.
knows the
Yeah.
best man's not ready to give the toast or whatever. We're just such a nice, cohesive
Yeah.
team. The flip side of that is kind of what I was saying earlier, is I truly believe in bringing visions to life, whatever it is that the couple wants. So, it's kind of walking a fine line. But
Yeah. So normally I would just move on from this question, but I feel like you have to have one really standout thing because of the look that you made when I asked this. Is there one really bad story of something crazy that happened at any wedding? If not, we can move on. But I feel like you have to have one where you're like, well, this one time, the groom, you know?
so I don't even know if this is podcast appropriate, but I'll tell you. At our wedding, it was actually a Catholic church wedding, and the reception was at a hotel after. And I'm there, the planning team shows up early. We're there at 8 o'clock or 8 or 9 in the morning for setup. So I had kind of been with the bride all day. She was, I'd say, untraditional. Um, and I went, and so everything was ready. Like the church was ready. I went to her room to tell her, okay, it's time to get married now. Let's go. She looks at me with these saucer eyes and she goes, I forgot undergarments. And
Oh,
she was wearing a short dress.
oh,
So
yikes.
I said, okay, well, what do you need? And I was wearing a dress that day, and I always wear it like shorts under my dresses because I'm working.
Hmm.
So I literally took my shorts off, gave them to the bride so she could wear those to get married in.
Oh my gosh. Talk about elevated experience. You're like, I will literally give you my underwear. It's fine. Like,
We have stuff
wow.
off our back.
Wow. That is, I
Like,
mean, I think you need to add that to the bio. Oh my gosh. Not
so,
shirt off our back.
yeah. Yeah, my wedding gift to you. I don't want them back.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. I knew there was a story. I knew there had to be a story. There always is one. That's great. Wow. Okay, so next question. What is one of the coolest things that you've seen? I know you mentioned like the coconuts and the lei making and things like that. But what is like the most crazy out there thing that a couple has ever done? Just like something really cool. Things that people have brought up in the past when I've asked is like, I know there's one person on a different island that does like helicopter weddings, and they had like the couple jump out of the helicopter, and then someone else has brought up like the flower drops out of helicopters, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
we've done helicopter weddings. Actually, this one is also at Sugar Beach this summer, and she's arriving by canoe. So the bride is being paddled in by canoe. So
Wow.
that's very cool. The groom is actually from Maui, so he has Hawaiian roots. So it's been really fun because there's been so much reverence for the Hawaiian culture for this one. So we're doing the chanting as they arrive and the blessings and the hula. Um,
Wow.
that's
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is really cool. I haven't heard anything about that yet. That's awesome. And that Sugar
and
Beach is perfect for that.
it's so perfect, right?
Yeah. We're gonna
And
have to
I
tell
love
V that we're
couples.
just promoting her the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, yeah, I mean, I love it when a couple's willing to at least get their ankles in the ocean. I think,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jumping in the
Um,
ocean, however, I'm going to go back to my list of don'ts. Don't do that.
oh, really? Really? Like,
Well, if you're
why?
going to, make sure the reception's over
Yeah,
because
that's
so
fair.
many details people forget, like towels and a change of
Hmm.
clothes.
And a shower and,
Yeah,
more makeup and hair and yeah,
all those
the really
things.
fancy wedding ring that is going to get lost in the ocean and
Another really
okay.
common one, actually, because people get in the ocean and their fingers get a little bit smaller. And
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay. So, what is some advice that you have for someone that is just starting their planning journey?
um, I mean, I kind of always go back to being authentic to yourself. I see so many couples kind of in the throes of trying to please everybody, so I think it's really
Hmm.
important to just be intentional about what the two of you want. Um, as far as Maui specific, just find a planner. I mean, find someone that you really trust and that feels like a friend, because the relationship that we carry it's usually a year of planning is becomes a lot more intimate than just a business interaction.
Yeah. So, with that being said, there's two questions that follow up from that, and is what is the like? You said a year of planning. When should people start booking with you, like to get availability? Like, how far out do you have to book to get your time?
So I mean, a year is a pretty good standard, 12 to 18 months. But however, personally, I love a last minute wedding. Like 4 months is fun for me to plan. But I mean, a year is a good. Some hotel venues on Maui won't book out for longer than a year, so that's something to
Yeah.
consider. But there are venues that are in high demand, like Olawalu Plantation House, like Sugar Beach, and those are booking out. So
Yeah.
for me, the biggest decisions are going to be first the venue, then your planner, then the date, and then it's like everybody kind of like has this big sigh of relief, and then we kind of
Yeah.
I do like a 4 phase planning process, and then we can just kind of start rolling through that.
So you think that they should book the venue before they book the planner?
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, okay. I was just
I guess I
checking.
would say venue first. Sometimes people come to
Yeah.
me who already booked the venue, but I'd highly suggest booking the planner first because we have so much insight about
Yeah.
this.
That's
Uh,
why I was surprised because I was like, it seems like you'd want to talk to the person planning.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and things like, we do a lot of weddings at the Pineapple Chapel. I know you were just there last week.
Hmm.
And that venue allows food trucks, which is super cool. This is a no that I see all the time. Well,
Hmm.
food trucks are cool. That's a great experience. The food's really fun. It's a great way to feature local cuisine. However, there's so much back end service stuff that does not come with a food truck, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
things like we can kind of chat because people are like, more budget minded. A food truck makes a lot of sense to really talk to someone and be like, well, actually, by the time you pay for dish rentals and, service staff and bussers and everything, you're kind of right back up at, catering.
And food trucks in Maui are not that cheap. It's the weirdest thing. You'd think that they would be, and then you see them and they're like the same price or more than the restaurant next door. It confuses me every time. I don't understand, but
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like everywhere else where you're like, oh, we'll go get cheap tacos at the taco truck. No, the tacos are going to be like $8 a taco. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what?
Well,
Blows my mind.
not very many things are affordable here in Maui.
Yeah, but the food truck thing we're so getting off of weddings, but it
No.
just is so confusing to me. Um, so what about your specific like planning service makes you unique?
Well, I offer lots of different tiers of planning services, so we do have something for everybody. But I really feel like it's just it's everything is about the relationships for me. So it's
Yeah.
just really full service planning. I don't take more than 4 a month because I want to personally be there for them every step of the way. It's just 20 plus years of experience of planning weddings here. So I
Yeah.
do know all the vendors, venues, the ins and outs, all the details. But for me, it's really about the relationships. I kind of hate to bring this up because it's so rare that it does rain on Maui, but we had a very iffy weather day yesterday at our wedding. And it's like, no, just to look at that bride's eye in her eyes and know how important an outdoor ceremony is. It's like, I don't care if we're moving those chairs in and out 50 times today. We're going to do all that we can to make sure your day goes off just exactly as you.
Yeah. So, I mean, because you're not saying it for yourself, I'll say it for you. What makes your service unique is you. It's you. You're like, well, I mean, it's a lot of things, and I don't really know. It's kind of I'm like, it's just go for it. Be like, it's me. I am the unique part. I'm amazing. Thank you.
You.
Yeah, I can tell talking to you. I'm like, yeah, you're fun to talk to. Just own it.
Yeah. I just feel so grateful to do something that I love every day.
Yeah, I think everyone here, I think, agrees with us. Most
Right.
people agree. We live on Maui. It's a good thing. So compared to other planners, what is your pricing? Are you average? Are you more pricey? Are you less pricey?
Planner pricing on Maui is all over the place. So I would say that I'm mid to upper range. I do offer month of planning, and I do offer partial planning, which is kind of more on the lower end for people who are working with a different budget. Or, some clients just really want to plan their own wedding. That brings them a lot of joy. So I'm happy to support them through that journey as well. Some planners charge a percentage base. Some planners I'm going to get a little controversial again, but some planners do get kickbacks or discounts from vendors. So whoever you book as your planner, I would just caution you to ask those questions to the planners, because I just believe in total transparency. You're going to know exactly what your wedding is costing.
Yeah, that is interesting. I knew about that, but I didn't think about how that would play into picking a planner and how they deal with vendors. So that is really interesting.
Well, it's kind of the norm, 15 to 20 years ago, but, clients are so savvy now. And I just feel like my biggest job is to advocate for the client. So I'm going to steer you towards the vendors and the florals and the menu that I think is the very best fit for you, not the one that might be paying me a little bit extra at the end of the day. So
Yeah. So speaking of vendors and catering and all those things, do you have a preferred vendor list that you work with?
I do. Yeah. So when clients book with me, the first thing that they get is a preferred vendor list. It's kind of interspersed with a really fun quiz, because I want to know their love story, their engagement story,
Yeah.
their favorite restaurants, where they like to vacation. All those things kind of come together in planning this, celebration of their love story. So yes, to answer your question, I do have a preferred vendor list that I work on.
Do you require that your couple use that list?
Funny you should ask, Jake. I just got a call this morning from a videographer, like, how can we work on this? So no, I don't. However, if they want to veer from that list, it just needs to be a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a photographer that I haven't personally worked with, but they've got a great reputation. They're vetted by other planners. I feel really confident about it, you know, and it's a great opportunity for me to work with someone new, so, you know, but sometimes it's like, you know, kind of what we were talking about before, you know.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's just interesting stuff to know.
Yeah.
So I know you were talking about weather. How does that play into what you're doing when an event goes on? Because I know that you were talking about, and I know I've talked to Lee, so I understand how Sugar Beach does their thing where they'll move in and out and in and out. How does that play out for you as the planner?
I mean, not 90% of the time, it's such a non-issue because, you know, generally speaking, it's sunny and beautiful here in Maui. But everybody will ask the question. You know, clients want to know that there is a plan B in place, so they feel really good about that. But also, you know, if you're coming from the mainland and you're pulling up Hawaii weather, it's like, as you know, the intricacies of the island, like it's always raining somewhere. So I always tell clients like 10 days, maybe 7 days out, we'll really start looking at the weather. But before then, it's just really not reliable. And we'll
It's not
know.
even reliable day of. Like you look at it and it's like, oh, it says it's this, but you can like go stand outside and be like, yeah, this is what it really is. Like, yeah.
Yesterday, and I will tell you at Sugar Beach, Chef Lee told me yesterday in the last 10 years, they've only had 3 ceremonies move inside. But yesterday, it looked like we had a huge front. You know, I'm like on the radar. The radar to me is the most reliable.
Yeah.
And it looked like we had a front that was supposed to hit at 11. So I had already come up with, you know, we had a plan B for the floor plan. We had a plan B for the ceremony. I had called the florist and said, hey, let's rework these florals so they can be moved inside or out, which again, working with a great team who's willing to do that for
Yeah.
you the morning of is amazing. And then, but it was still just like, wait, you know, I feel like it's such a lazy way to be like, oh, we've got to make the call by 9 a.m. You know, there
Yeah.
are logistics for weddings, but no, we're going to do whatever we can to make it happen. So, and that's what we did
Yeah.
yesterday. We literally, the wedding parties texted everyone. The ceremony start time was at 5, and if it was going to rain, it was going to rain at 5. So we had everyone come early, like, hey, can you just get here as soon as you can? So we were able to start 15 minutes, and as soon as the ceremony was over, the rain came.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That
Yeah.
worked out really well. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I had a show at the Four Seasons maybe 2 months ago that it was like just one of those days where it's like maybe it's going to rain, maybe it's not. You know, who
Mhm.
knows? Either it's going to pour or we're going to get a beautiful sunset.
Mhm.
I don't know. And client, um, the client that I was working with, not the client, but my point of contact, was like, we're moving inside. Just kidding. We're moving out. I got like 7 texts throughout the day. It's going to be outside. It's going to be inside. It's going to be outside. It's going to be inside. And I was like, okay, well, when I show up this afternoon, then we can,
Yeah.
whatever. But it was just funny because it was like, just kidding. Just kidding. We're going back. We're going in. We're going out,
Yeah. That's
And
yeah.
it's just one of those things. It's really hard to tell,
It's really hard, and it, you know, it's like take the cushions off the chair, put them back on,
Yeah.
move them in.
Mm-hmm.
I was even yesterday. I was working with, I don't know if you know Caleb from No Koi Video. That's a great
I
video
don't know.
production company. Caleb was a boat captain prior, so I feel like he's such a
Mm.
reliable weatherman. So I'm
Yeah.
texting him, Caleb, what do you know? It's like,
Yeah. So for these day of things going on and decisions, how early do you normally get to the venue or on site? And also, are you the day of planner coordinator person as well? Or do you have someone come out and do that? And who is the main point of contact throughout that day?
so it's, well, for sure for full service coordination, it's always me. I do have staff that helps me. And occasionally they'll jump in and do like a month of. Um, I I think most wedding planners are control freaks. So I have a really hard time not being there. And also I've developed such relationships with these couples. I mean, it's just so rewarding for me, to share in the day with them. Typically load in for rental starts at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So we're there from that really until the door's locked at night. So I'm typically there all day and all night.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're the main point of contact. You do the day of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's an all day from morning to night.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do it, you want to do it well, I just think that's the way to do it. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the idea is that the couples can really relax and enjoy the day because they know we're taking care of everything. So.
Yeah. So my last question is, you do a really cool thing called Wedding Tip Wednesday. Do you want to tell me about that?
So Wedding Tip Wednesdays, you can find that on our Instagram. And it just started and I guess it still is just really organic. I just pop on every Wednesday and, offer some great ideas or tips, kind of some things that we talked about, new trends that I'm seeing, things as a planner that I've kind of taken for granted that I assume are, common knowledge that aren't. And it's been such a fun way to kind of engage with couples.
Yeah. It's funny because I found you on Instagram, and that was one of the things I'm like, wow, this person really is on it. Like, you're very active and do a lot of really good stuff, and it looks really good too. So kudos to you. You're doing an amazing job. The Wedding Tip Wednesdays are very fun, really cool. And I'm like, wow, she's always out there doing a thing. Like, it always looks great. So
my secret is
nice.
I never watch them.
Once through and you're like, that's good. Straight to post.
Change that, and I'll never produce anything.
Wow. That's funny. Well, I think that was it. Otherwise, I know that your special offer is a secret that you have to call or talk about if you hear the podcast. So feel free to email, call, or schedule a consultation and get the secret special podcast offer. But thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I think so. This was
awesome.
So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me with the podcast. I appreciate it.
Hopefully.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.